Kathleen Leonard.
Here.
Justin S. McLaughlin.
Here.
Jean Marie Napolitano.
Here.
Naomi Neville. There is a quorum present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could I respectfully ask that you turn off your cell phone and hopefully, I didn't even take mine. And can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has anyone signed up for the Citizens Forum?
Yes, we have Margaret Kirshner to speak on the Restoration Advisory Board.
Okay. Ms. Kirshner?
Madam Chair and Councilors, this year is the 20th anniversary of the Restoration Advisory Board, and it will be celebrated at its next meeting, which is November 18th. And I've submitted a request to the Vice Chair, Marco Camacho, to consider honoring the Environmental Director of the base, Mr. David DeRose. He co-chairs the committee, and I've been a community co-chair for 2 years. The committee is established under federal law, under CERCLA law, which is sometimes called Superfund. It's the Comprehensive Environmental Response and Liability Act. The Navy meets the law by holding a community board for the participation of the community to learn about the status and progress of the environmental work that goes on at the base. This year, the commander of the base, Commander Boyer, recognized several citizens for their long participation in the board. There was a Newporter, Dr. David Brown, who's involved in many community activities. He's been a participant of the board for 20 years. He received a pin and a citation from the commander. And there were several other citizens that have been on the board for 10 and 20 years. The board has many original members, but it has fewer members than it did when it started. But the work at the base is ongoing, and there have been many recent decisions about the approach to the properties, and those are called records of decision. All the public libraries in Jamestown, Newport, Portsmouth, and Middletown hold the administrative record of the board, and it's a great privilege to be there. It's very technical, very substantial. It is good to know where the right source of information is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I believe that she did have some documents for us to receive, so I'd like to make a motion to receive.
There's a motion and a second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Council liaison updates.
Yes, Councilor Segley.
Yes. I would like to just report on some of the boards that I've been sitting on as a liaison. As of the last board meeting of the Edward King House, I'm happy to report that the King Center has tripled the number of seniors participating in a multitude of programs. There's a wide range of programs that include academic lectures, technology classes, health and wellness, the arts, and many others offered to our citizens, senior citizens. The center will open a senior support mall that will host various area agencies such as the American Red Cross, East Bay Community Action Programs Foster Grandparent Program, and Senior Corps programs, and the Child and Family Elder Services and Visiting Nurses. These agencies will be at the King House once a week through the year, and the services are free and open to the public. Just a reminder that the King Center is a great place to host meetings and lectures. Also, I will be coming to the council in a couple of weeks or months with updates on infrastructure and funding needs of the center. If anyone is interested in participating in programs, they can contact Carmela Gear at www.edwardkinghouse.org or at 846-7426. Also, I got a report from Michael Carullo, who is the head of security at Salve Regina, and we have been discussing the Salve Regina shuttle buses, and I just want to report on the runs between September the 6th, 2015 and October 11th, 2015, the shuttle bus that goes to Conley Hall, which is just off of Annandale. There were 35 runs to various locations. 51 students were transported during these runs. 3 runs were the most amount of trips in one day, and that occurred 4 times. September 20th, the 21st, the 26th, and October the 2nd. There were 2 runs to Conley Hall in one day that were conducted on 6 different dates. The largest group of students on one run was 12. Most runs average between 2 to 3 students. There were 36 days of possible transports during this time period, and we only transported on 21 of the days. So that is from Mike Carullo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The consent calendar?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety with the exception of item 7.
Second.
There's a motion, second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Sorry.
Application for a special event license, Gray Matter Marketing, DBA Newport 10 Miler.
Counselor Leonard.
Okay, I have a question for the police chief. Well, I have, thanks. In regards to this race for June 5th, which is a busy summertime, and 3,000 people anticipated running, I sent pictures that came from the Daily News from the last race, where it showed no cars and people across 2 lanes, which to me means that the road was closed. So I asked for a commentary or report, and I remember before we passed the race that there were supposed to be no road closings, and then the newspaper has 2 big pictures of no cars passing. So again, we have a race with 3,000 people applied for on June 5th of next summer, which again is very busy time of year in Newport, for the hours of 7:30 to 10:30. And I'm not opposed to a race. I think they're good for the people and the economy, but I am opposed to busy times, busy time of the year, inconveniencing Newporters and tourists where traffic can't get through. So I would really like your comments or an explanation on the last race and how that would impact this, which is a very busy time of year.
Which last race are you referring to?
The one that the Daily News had in the paper this week, I forgot what day it was.
The one from over the weekend?
Yes.
As I've said before, when you authorize as a council an event to have priority use of the road, it's the police department's responsibility to provide a safe event.
I understand that, but when I have to be honest and say, when we ask if there are going to be road closings and the answer is no,
I've never said no. If we know we're going to close the road, we'll do that. If we try to have intermittent traffic flow to allow cars, residents,
well, pedestrians take precedent.
mix in with the road users, we do our best.
Well, do you think that summertime, when it's really busy, is a good time to have a road race for 3,000 people?
I'm not the applicant. If you authorize the road use, we can make it work.
But we ask you if you think that that's workable, and maybe it's workable for pedestrians and runners, but it doesn't seem workable for the people who want to drive or the people who want to get in and out of the neighborhood. So I just have to say, I brought it up before, it's like a broken record because it keeps repeating itself around and around and around. I think that races should be early times or not during very, very busy seasons. And I'm not opposed to this race. I'm opposed to the time and the day of the race. And I think that the rest of the council can weigh in, but we've all said it several times, and it seems like it just continues. So I don't know if the applicant is willing to change the day or the time, but I think for my vote, that's what has to happen.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor.
is somebody here from Gray Matter? And I'm not sure, as we wait for Mr. Gray to come up, I was a little confused by the photograph that was in the paper. It appeared to me that it was taken in a stretch of Ocean Drive where there was a very, very wide shoulder, and there's a solid white line that demarcates the wide shoulder from one of the travel lanes. So I wasn't certain from that photograph that there was actually a lane of traffic that was closed, but they were using what appeared to be 2 lanes because of the very wide shoulder just going up the hill beyond Gooseberry Beach. My question to the applicant is, you blocked out a 3-hour period of time for a race. Most people can do that race in a lot less time. 10 miles should only take a certain amount of time. How much flexibility do you have to actually use the public roadway for less than 3 hours? How much time are you actually going to use the public roadway?
The allotted 3 hours is required for the walkers who like to complete the same course as the runners. They like to take in the scenery, walk the course. 3 hours is the request that we have. Much of the last part of the 3 hours is inside Fort Adams State Park, as they still have about 1.5 miles to go when they get in there. So the time that they're on the roadways roughly is 7:30 a.m. through about 9:30. And then for the rest of the part, they're in the state park.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
Can I ask you this? Because I would like you to have your race, and I would like you to be successful, because a lot of people like to participate. Have you considered other days or times where it's not the busiest part of the year?
First 2 years of this event, we hosted it on the same weekend in April. And then last year, due to the Volvo Ocean Race, we were told we had to find a new date. We secured a new date. We worked with the new date. We sold out the event at the new date, meaning more runners than ever came to town on that day, bringing more revenue to the city. We figured it would be a great day to continue to host it since it sold out that year. The weather is ideal. And it's still June 5th. It's very early in the summer schedule for the city. I think typically 4th of July is when it really starts to pick up around
I
here.
don't think so.
And that's just my opinion, I guess. And, I think flexibility as far as that goes for next year, we've selected this date. We've worked around this with our calendar, with sponsors, with the state. State of Rhode Island has already approved our use of the park on that date. The Fort Adams folks have granted us use of the park that day. So this is a day we would like to use this year.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Counselor Flores.
So Matt brought up a really good point. There's a significant economic factor in play here. So I had dinner, I believe it was Monday night at 22 Bowens. And I talked to the waiter, how'd it go? Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold. How did it go the last week? He's like, well, yesterday we were packed. The marathon brought in a lot of people. I mean, we were slamming for a Sunday evening for this time of the year. So there is a big economic factor here. These races do bring in a lot of people, and these people bring in a lot of revenue to our city as well.
Can I ask, is it possible, Chief, once they cover a certain part of the lap, Mr. Gray indicated that most of the runners and walkers would be at the fort or in the fort vicinity. At what time, 9:30? Is it possible for you to open up the portion of the road that no longer has the runners on it?
Well, that's our ultimate goal. When we work with, in this case, Mr. Gray, you're going to have a tremendous.
Initial.
Yeah, you have your initial surge where nobody can move. Then as the runners and walkers start to spread out, that's where we start to talk about if we have gaps, we can allow traffic to flow. At times, the traffic will flow in the direction of the race. The runners are spread out enough and they're staying to one side of the road. and the roads are wide enough, we can allow traffic to flow. I will never guarantee all roads will be open and roads will absolutely not close. I'm not going to guarantee that. It's a safety issue that the officers at the time have to make with the circumstances and the traffic pattern that they're presented with. So we can make it work, similar to the parade Monday. At some point, when the parade reaches Memorial Boulevard at Bellevue, traffic flowing north on Bellevue is diverted at Bowery Street. Nothing's allowed to flow, so you can semantics of, well, that portion of the roadway is then closed. Yes, because the road is full of people.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I have a question. How long was that road closed? It was pictures of Ocean Drive.
I can't speak for the photo in Ocean Drive. I didn't see the photo. I have no idea what portion of the roadway that was. I can't tell you how road,
It was right near the end of Castle Hill.
okay, well, I can't tell you how road, I wasn't there.
Well, your officers were, right?
Yes, but I wasn't. I can't tell you.
I think maybe for next time we have a report, we get a whole report. Thank you.
okay. Any other questions for either the chief or Mr. Gray?
No, but I want to,
Okay.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair, I want to make a motion to approve the license, but I want to add to it a stipulation that, because this is an issue that comes up every time, what did happen? So I think whenever we approve one of these road races, the stipulation should be that the event planner and somebody from the police department meet no less than 30 days afterwards to talk about what happened, what the lessons learned were, and to report back to the council so that we aren't left with a sense of, well, what did happen? I don't have any issues with what happened last weekend. I haven't heard any problems. Sounds like a great race, but I make the stipulation that there be such a report provided to the council within 30 days of an event like this.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Did you want to make?
5-1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm opposed to, I'm sorry, I've been up for 2 days straight with a sick dog in the hospital, so if you're voting on Mr. McLaughlin's, I vote yes.
Okay. Yeah, it is everyone in agreement that a report would be done within 30 days. Okay. Do I have a motion
To approve the license as amended, so moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the license as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
5-1. Thank you.
Application for an annual entertainment license renewal, Salvation Cafe, Inc.
Okay, this is a renewal of the Salvation Cafe's annual entertainment license. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for an annual entertainment license, Class A Indoor, Rumline LLC.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to continue this to the November 18th meeting for a public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to continue to November 18th, the annual entertainment license for the Rum Line, for a public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a new vittling license, Rumline LLC, DBA Rumline.
This is an application for a VIT license for the Rum Line located at 62 Bridge Street. I move passage.
Second.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's my understanding that the new owners of the Rum Line don't plan to open up for business until March. Perhaps there's somebody here who could clarify that for us?
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the council, Turner Scott representing the applicant in this matter. What kind of clarification do you need? They're going to buy the property and then we're going to make some renovations and they're going to open it back up.
Do they expect to open before the 18th of November?
Before the 18th of November? No. We
So,
don't even
Madam-
have a closing before the 18th of November.
Madam Chair,
Division of Taxation has the file right now, and you know how long it took last time to get the certificate of good standing? 6 weeks.
Madam Chair, so that we don't find ourselves doing one thing tonight and another thing later on, I'd make a motion that we continue this so that we take up this request right along with the entertainment license, and I think a motion to do the same thing with the liquor license transfer will be made so that we can provide an opportunity to do this all at once.
Mr. Scott,
You know, I can't have a bigger objection to that type of motion than I can have any other motion I've been up here for in a long time. That's nothing but governmental, putting your hands in where it shouldn't be. We have an application for a VIT license that matches exactly the VIT license that's ongoing right now. The hours, the location, everything matches exactly what the application was before. And there's no reason to other than a political reason that Mr. McLaughlin may have to continue this license. None whatsoever.
Madam Chair, if I may comment, it is political. I represent the voters of Newport, and that's been asked of us. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
yes, Counselor.
I would like to weigh in on this. I have spoken to,
Who?
The-
Can you name your names?
yeah, I will,
Please,
just
please
hold
do.
on, just hold on. I wanted to try to understand and to get all parties where they speak and are supportive of each other. So I talked to Patrick Kilroy, who I know, and I've known for a long time. I've also talked to the future president of the Point Association, and they have spoken to each other. And I can say from what I've witnessed over the years, the people who live in the area are very supportive of the restaurant, which is what we all like, an amicable relationship between businesses and residents. This is a grandfathered use in a residential zone, which we all understand, and that they're entitled to run their business as the previous business before. But I can say that I understand what Mr. McLaughlin was suggesting, and I suggested it to all parties myself, because to me, anyway, it seems like a good beginning that if you're going to have a business operate in a neighborhood, that it's nice for people to get along. I mean, I live right in the middle of two grandfathered uses of businesses in a residential neighborhood, and we have a wonderful relationship. And it's my hope that that sort of thing continues here also, because it hasn't been an issue in the past. So I don't think it's wrong to ask people if they would like to discuss that. It's a choice thing, and I think that that's where that's coming from.
I'm trying to figure out what the issue is here.
We're not saying, to me, there's not an issue.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If there's no issue, then there's no issue. My question is, what is the issue? We have a VIT license, service of food, in a non-conforming use, permitted by law. The zoning officer's already checked it off.
Do you not think it's good to have a good relationship
sure
before there's an issue?
And I don't
To
have-
address it before there becomes misunderstandings?
I don't think there's any misunderstanding here. We're asking for a VIT license. That's all we're asking for at this point, and we're asking for a liquor license, which exactly matches the liquor license that is with the spot right now. What you have to look at is whether the applicant is fit and proper to run this operation.
How do you do that until the person runs it?
Well,
Thank you.
No. This person has run operations before.
I'm talking
and
about
he's-
this place, and I'm not saying he would
Well,
run a
okay,
bad
well-
place at all.
Ms. Leonard, if we take your suggestion just now, we'll give him 6 months in there, and then we'll come back here before the council and see if he's done a good job. That isn't the way it works.
Oh, it works in real life. If a business is not working well, they come back for a license renewal, and we put
Yeah, they
different
do.
restrictions.
Okay, then you give him the license, and if he doesn't work well, then he comes back for a license restriction. Mr. McLaughlin has made a motion here, but given no reason other than a political reason that he's been called by people that he hasn't indicated on the record who they are, as that he wants a continuance of this thing. There's no reason to continue a VIT license, none whatsoever, unless there's some health safety reason for it. I think that's pretty clear.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
need a second to the motion. I assume just to move to continue it. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, there you go.
Madam
Okay.
Chair? I guess my question
Thank
is your client agreeable to talking, for example, with the officers of the association in terms of how to start a nice working relationship? And I'm not saying there wouldn't be. I'm just asking if your client you think would be amenable.
He's been talking to him.
I know, because I asked him to.
Oh, you were the impetus for that. I appreciate that. I doubt that very seriously. He's been talking to him.
Excuse me?
He's been talking to them.
I know he has.
And it wasn't because
I
you
make a motion to
told him to
call a
do it.
vote.
Madam Chair,
I'm not even going to address
There's a
that.
motion to call the vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion second to call the vote.
Madam
All in-
Chair, I just don't see a reason to continue this. I mean, we have a grandfathered use here in a residential zone. We know that this owner of this property has other businesses that they run very well. I just don't see any reason to continue it. I'm going to vote against
Can-
continue.
Can I just weigh in? We have 3 licenses. Just a minute. Council's still discussing. We have 3 licenses. We have a liquor license that is currently in place. We've got a VIT license that is currently in place. The applicant is asking for the transfer of those licenses. There is nothing that the council, I mean, he's not up on charges. He has proven himself to be a worthy business person. The question really is, from what I've heard, is about the entertainment license. We have pulled that, and we've asked for a public hearing, which all of you would be allowed to certainly express your opinions. In the interim, we have asked the potential owners to contact and make sure that the neighborhood knows what type of operation they're going to have there. It is a small place. It's been a wonderful place on the point where people could go and grab a bite to eat and maybe have a few drinks and listen to a piano bar. I would expect that kind of entertainment to continue. And I would hope that we could transfer the license because they've paid their attorney to be here tonight, because they're going to get that license anyway for the VIT and the liquor, and then discuss what the real issue is and what the real fear is, that they would turn this into some sort of nightclub, which I don't think at this point, with the number of people I've spoken to, they have any intentions of doing that.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
I will say this, and it goes along with what I have said, contrary to what Mr. Scott believes. Because this business has not operated here yet, because the issue has always been in all neighborhoods that I know of, mainly the entertainment licenses, I would vote, and I am going to vote, to support both the VIT license and the liquor license, because until an establishment does something that warrants other than granting the license, that we really need to be right about it. But I still go back to saying that I think good communication and working with neighbors is really important for our community.
Madam Chair, actually,
Yes.
I just want to clarify, as a matter of logic, not politics, there are 3 issues before us tonight to deal with one establishment. We're moving one of them, I thought, for practicality purposes, so that there wouldn't be any ambiguity. We could do them all at one night. I thought that there would be no inconvenience to the petitioner. Apparently, that logic doesn't prevail. A point of order, Madam Chair. We had a motion to close the debate and move the question, which is not debatable, requires a 2/3 vote to pass. I think we should take a vote on that motion.
Sure.
May I have the motion restated so I know
Yeah,
exactly what the
Could
motion
you,
is?
yeah, restate the motion,
It was
please?
John's motion. He basically called for a vote, which is,
Okay, restate the motion.
Just calling for a vote.
oh, okay, the motion was to postpone consideration of this application until the November 18th meeting.
Okay. So everybody understands, the motion is to postpone both the VIT and the liquor license until the 18th and vote on all of them at one time. All in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion fails.
What was the vote, Madam Chair?
4-2.
Madam Chair, as a point of order, I guess we could get back to the original motion on the vittling license for approval.
Pardon?
Oh, no, we didn't. We didn't approve. That was the amendment. That was to
Go
continue.
ahead.
Okay, so Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the vittling license transfer for
Second.
Rumline.
There's a motion, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Yeah, I have no objection to approving the license.
Application for a new vittling license, Mission LLC, DBA Mission.
Okay, this is a VIT license for New Missions located at 2931 Marble Street. It's in conjunction with the liquor license transfer. I move passage.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointments to boards and commissions.
Yes, we have 2 vacancies on our planning board. I make a motion to appoint Tanya Kelly and Brian Rochelle.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution requesting the city administration to create a monthly newsletter and monthly news conference.
Mr. Flores.
This resolution, first of all, would I like to change the name? I'd like to make a motion to change the name to a citizen engagement forum, which, sorry, were you going to say something? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not following the process. Go ahead, please. I apologize.
You mean on the rum line?
On the rum line?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to suspend the rules.
And
in order
and
to
if
allow
you'd
for
like to
public
comment, come forward.
May I have a second? Motion to
Sorry.
suspend the rules?
There's a motion and second to suspend the rules. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Hi, I'll be
opposed?
very
Ayes
brief.
have it.
Thank you for talking to me. I'm Hadley, I live right next door to the rum line.
Could you say your name, please?
Hadley Johnstone, I live
Thank
right
you.
next door to the rum line. And I sort of feel with you guys approving the license for the liquor in the restaurant, it's sort of like getting married without a prenup. So we have this restaurant hanging above us, but we also have an entertainment license for a DJ and a band.
There isn't.
And all of those things. So we're approving the restaurant, but if that comes into play, it becomes a whole different thing.
My understanding is that this restaurant is closing for the winter. But the
But if it goes through.
But the applicant has asked to transfer the license for VIT and liquor. We're having a public hearing in 2 weeks at our meeting
Uh-huh.
on the entertainment, which I think is really the issue for a lot of the neighbors.
Well, it is
Or the
huge. I mean,
concern,
I'm
the
right next
concern.
door, and there's a door that
Yeah.
opens right into my house or the backyard. Because it's supposed to be a closed entertainment thing. But people
Yeah.
always come out, and I don't really complain, because it's basically like a nursing home atmosphere with Ian. He's a lovely guy. So I don't complain about it, but, because it's usually a wedding or two. But, I mean, this family, I mean, they own like these crazy bars downtown.
What we can do as a council, when we have the public hearing, we can take your testimony, we can place reasonable restrictions on an entertainment license.
Yeah. Well,
That's
it's just
not,
in terms of property value and what you're paying in taxes, so everything was increased so much, and then you think, oh my God, what's going in next door? The Jersey Shore is coming, that's to the point.
well, I understand what you're expressing, but I think we really need to have the public hearing with the applicants here. And I do think that there's probably some work to be done within the neighborhood and the new owners. And, we can't really prejudge, how they're going to operate. They have another establishment. You can describe it any way you want, but they have not had violations.
Well, I mean, don't they own the Pelham?
I'm not,
Ma'am, I
Yeah.
can promise you that
Okay.
the point will not turn into the Jersey Shore.
You never know. All right, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just to clarify, it's on the 18th of November that public hearing will be
Right.
held. Not in 2 weeks, but actually
I'm sorry,
5 weeks.
actually, 5 weeks, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Tom Hockaday, and I live at 67 Bridge Street. I actually kind of helped to start this whole conversation and process, as most of you all know, and I think each of you all I've had a chance to work with a number of times on various, projects, various non-for-profits and neighborhood associations. We're not here, and we weren't ever coming here to oppose Illinois' application for a restaurant or desire to do that. In fact, I've talked to Pat several times. We're enormously supportive. What we were just concerned about is the confusion and the ambiguity of it. We were told this was going to become a single-family resident. Then we saw the entertainment license, which, if I've got a copy of it here, which asks for an opportunity for up to 135 people, a band of up to 6 members, vocalists, amplification, TV screens. Again, 135 people with self-claim they have parking spots for 4. We raised that question, and it was one of the reasons I initially asked our councilwoman, Mrs. Leonard, to ask for a continuation of postponement until we had the chance to talk to Patrick. Pat and I have talked a number of times, and we're trying to organize a chance for people to get together. This has all just happened so fast. Part of the problem was there was no communication with the abutters or the neighbors. That may be part of the neighbors' problems. Maybe we needed to be more diligent. Maybe the seller needed to be more diligent. Maybe the buyer needed to be more diligent. But there was ambiguity. Then we noticed on the docket today the application for the victualling license there. That application talks about a capacity of 80. Talks about, basically only parking spots for 3. Has a request for 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. His entertainment was 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., which I assume was just a clerical mistake in the application, because I can't imagine anybody opening for 3 hours and then shutting down. But then there was the statement on the back is, can you certify there have been any changes to the plans? The answer was no. So because of all of this, we didn't know what we were being asked to support. Are we supporting the Rum Line, which is a lovely neighborhood restaurant, which frankly, my partner and I live at. We are there 2 nights a week, sometimes 3. It's our adjunct kitchen. Are we supporting an establishment that's going to be having entertainment till 1 a.m.? Are we going to be having 135 people or 80 people? Are plans going to change? And then in today's paper, when Pat said that they weren't opening until March, it's the reason we wanted all to be continued, because we thought it would be a better package to sit down and to work together to figure out how we can make this a great establishment for the city. We are all pro small business, all pro restaurants, all pro hospitality industry. I've told Patrick that there's nothing that would make us more happy than that, but there were just so many unanswered questions and ambiguity. The applications, it's the same building, but they're calling for 2 different numbers, 2 different times. That's the reason we asked for this. So we know you've made your vote, but we want to be on record as saying we want this restaurant to be there. The devil's in the details, and that's all we were asking for. So that's why we respectfully wanted this to happen. We're obviously disappointed we didn't get it continued, and we will look forward to working with Patrick, but please know that we are not being screamers on the point asking not in our backyard. We are actually looking to have a great partnership with that restaurant owner.
Thank you,
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Hockaday.
This is something.
Kate, wanna make a comment?
Lori Shaw, 67
66 3rd Street. I'm actually here at the request of Elizabeth Piskiewicz, who owns the property at 59 Bridge Street, directly across from the rum line. And I've been the property manager there for over 10 years. And Mrs. Piskiewicz asked me to come and voice her strong concern because it's a quiet neighborhood, and if this restaurant isn't handled sensitively, it could ruin a lot of people's sleep, lives, the whole 9 yards. I echo everything that Tom said. We've all frequented the rum line. We really love it. It's just the right tone, the right everything for the neighborhood. I didn't realize that the existing VIT and liquor license went from 11 to 1, because that seems pretty extreme. Ian never was open, I don't think, past 11 o'clock at night. But giving a legal license for someone to be open until 1, I'm sure you can see our concern. So we'll voice more of our concern in 2 weeks, and thanks very much.
The time frame is stipulated by state law, just so you know, on liquor and bits. Okay.
Hello, my name is Mary Sheehan, and I have a letter to the City Council, which I'd like to read and then submit for the record. And it's, ladies and gentlemen, we are writing regarding Patrick Gilroy's September 21st, 2015 victualling license application for the Rum Line Restaurant. For the past 40 years, we have owned a residence at 10 3rd Street, which is next door to the Rum Line. These properties are located in a residential neighborhood. The Rum Line operated until 10 p.m. Patrick Gilroy's application requests hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. We do not think that a restaurant in this location should operate past 10 p.m. Based on the hours of operation, we respectfully request that you deny our application, and this is signed by myself and my husband, Mark Walsh.
Motion to receive the letter, Madam Chair.
Second.
There's a motion second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I ask a quick question? Sure. To the clerk? And one of these applications for the VIT license, it says seating 80. For the entertainment, it has seating capacity 135. Do you know what's approved by the fire marshal?
I do not know what the capacity is set by the fire marshal. I can certainly find out and get that to you.
I think that's part of the confusion as I look at it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ditto loving the rum line as it was.
Your
In
name
fact,
for it, your name?
Stephanie Schmidt, 15 Marsh Street, and a butter to the rum line. In fact, Peter, if you promise the espresso, creme
You
brulee,
have to
and the
face
chocolate
us.
bread pudding, I'm all yours. Actually, I'm not if your hours are beyond what is appropriate.
Ms. Schmidt,
For
you have to address the council.
Okay, I just don't want my back to my fellow Newporters. I
Well-
have to do both. These are my people too, so you're both
Okay.
important. Okay, so till 1 a.m. is not reasonably appropriate for a residential neighborhood, so that's why, and my fellow neighbors have spoken eloquently for why this should be continued, the inconsistencies, and yes, we can say that we hope, and Jean Marie, I know you say you hope it continues as a wonderful rum line, but I know the law as well as our city solicitor does, and as well as Mr. Scott does. Our wishes aren't law. So we need to have teeth in this thing that says this isn't going to be open until 1 a.m. This isn't going to have loud music. We have neighbors that live 10 feet away. We have historic district commission restrictions that constrain us to single-pane windows. There is no such thing as contained noise in our neighborhood. It's all of our noise. And so a place like the Rum Line is very welcome to me. It's very welcome to many of my neighbors. I won't speak for all of them. And there are many neighbors who couldn't make it here tonight because they had no idea that this was on the docket. That's not right.
Okay, the docket came out last Wednesday, and I would suggest that people, you can go to the city website or engage Newport. I believe the city website should have the docket up there Wednesday prior to the meetings. Mr. Scott, I think you have your hands full right now,
Madam Chair, I would like to ask this, since we've reopened this for discussion. When you have two different seating capacities and two different applications, this application that we have for the VIT license says 80. So by approving the VIT license for 80, does that mean, I'm asked the solicitor, that that's the capacity for that restaurant because of what we passed? Or does it allow still to go by if the fire marshal has a different number?
You want me to answer, or you want the solicitor to answer?
The solicitor to answer.
Okay. Well, we can both answer at the same time.
No.
Give you a different answer.
So if you approve the VIT license and they put down the application, they have seating for 80, your question is if the fire prevention figure, the fire capacity is different, in what way?
Well, let's say maybe more. So does that mean that this would be, and I'm looking at it in conjunction to the confusion that seems to be playing out. So if the fire marshal says 135, does that hold true for all licenses granted for this premise?
Well, that's their capacity unless you put some type of condition otherwise on it. I mean, the victualling license is a little different. That's more of a, over the years, that's become a pro forma type of grant by the council. Basically, is it a suitable, healthy place with the Department of Health now involved and licensing also? The FIT license has become more of a formal application. Then you get to the liquor license where you might have some further concerns about what the capacity of the building would be. There could be conditions along those lines about the capacity there. And certainly if there is no specific conditions, if the fire capacity is a greater number, then they, in my opinion, they could go up to the higher number.
All right. So if we grant, which we have, but we've reconsidered here, 80 for the VIT license, and then the applicant comes back for 135 for the entertainment license, then...
But the entertainment license is a license to have entertainment.
Period?
Yeah, that's what you have. What you use some of the applications for is information. It'll help you to decide how many people they intend to have in there. That's really like the victualling license. They're trying to give you an idea of the size of the restaurant they're going to have. The liquor license also, what's the size of the serving area you're going to have there. The entertainment will also help you there. Is that a specific condition on those licenses? I would say not.
No.
The same thing when they give you an idea of the type of entertainment. If they put down that they're going to have some amplification in that, it doesn't mean that they're limited to exactly what they put in there. You're granting a license on giving them the right to have entertainment.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I'd like to ask Mr. Bean a question too. I mean, if it's, the way I'm looking at the victualling license and the liquor license transfers, they're not different than what already existed under the old ownership of the rum line, correct? So,
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
There's no difference. I mean, according to Attorney Scott, there's no difference on the victualling license and the liquor licenses as the old owner of the rum line versus the new owners of the rum line for the transfer itself. So there's no real legal reason to continue or to not grant tonight the transfers of the liquor license and the victualling licenses anyway. And
yeah.
I think we're confusing the entertainment license here with, because without the entertainment license, there is no entertainment. But
Right,
without the
that's
vittling
correct.
license and the liquor license, there's no food or drink, period.
Right, the victualling license and the liquor license, a lot of times when they're buying the property, they're trying to close on it, it's always subject to being able to get a vic license and also the liquor license transfer. So sometimes you don't have the consummation of the actual transaction until those licenses are granted. Whereas an entertainment license can be granted at a later date. Now, they may not want to go through with the deal if they don't have an entertainment license, but it's a little different from the other two. In terms of, is it the exact same operations? I'm not going to say that. I mean, the liquor license, the old liquor license has a certain licensed premises. It's an area that you've allowed there to be the sale of alcoholic beverages. If it's the same with the new transfer, it's a new license. It's a new license. It's not a continuation of the old. If it's the same license premises, then you could assume that it's going to be close to the same operations. I mean, I don't know if you can say they're exactly the same.
Okay, because from what I interpreted that, and you used, the inability to consummate the actual sales
Well, the two-
transaction, is that, from what I get from Attorney Scott, is that we would actually be placing an undue burden on this business, or the two parties, one is the seller and one is the buyer, to actually consummate that transaction by not granting a vittling transfer today and a liquor license transfer.
I don't want
Is
to
that-
pass on the continuance issue.
Okay.
All I can tell you is that I think you all realize, you could, for an example, right after this, you had another victualling license you granted without any kind of comments. And I would say you do that most of the time. And so they have a point when they're just looking for a victualling license in the same establishment, they're not adding to it. It seems to be the same type of operation, then, other than, is it a safe environment, no public health and safety issues, the Department of Health hasn't raised any issues in that, then there's not a lot, and the applicant seems to be a suitable person, then there's not a lot of reason not to grant that license. The only thing I can point out is for the commercial transaction itself, I could see why they want that done now rather than later. That's the only reason I would say that you might want to treat them differently.
Okay. Madam Chair, I think we've all gotten an opportunity, both members of this council, members of the public, and our legal teams from both the buyer and on the city side with the city solicitor. I think we've all gotten our opportunity to weigh in. I'd like to actually make a motion at this time to reconvene under Robert's Rules of Order and pick up with Councilor Flores'
If we may, Madam Chair, I just wanted to make one comment.
Yes.
I think the question here about the seating, and I understand the concerns of the abutters. I can do a quick calculation, having had a few meals in the rum line. 80 is about the number of seats that they have there where people can sit down and be served food. I think the abutters have reasonable concerns that if you crowd another 55 people in there, that's not the essence of the restaurant. There is concern there that, well, what is it you're doing? And over the years, I've been here for 31 years, and Rum Lime was one of the first restaurants I ate at. 80 is a good number. So I think when we deal with the entertainment license, we've got an issue here that needs to be addressed. I think the operative issue is tables and chairs. How many tables and chairs do there need to be in the space? Because if you put the tables and chairs in, the fire marshal might come back and say, well, there really isn't space for 135 people. That's only when you take out some of the tables and chairs. So I hope the fire marshal will be in a position to answer some of these questions in 5 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, you got to make a motion to reconvene under Robert's Rules.
Second.
There's a motion second to reconvene. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
So what's being proposed in this resolution is basically to have a once-a-month regular citizen engagement forum. So essentially, citizens of Newport get to speak with the administration, get to meet with the city council, and discuss any issues, any topics, concerns, and exchange ideas. Now, this isn't a new concept. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, I've talked with the assistant city manager there. They've implemented an identical program there, which they actually do about once a week. They call it a citywide press conference. Very effective. Some of the positives that have resulted from this have been improved transparency, increased citizen engagement, and it's a win-win. It just promotes healthy communication between the citizens and the administration and the city council. The second part of this resolution calls for the creation of an online newsletter. We currently do not have an online newsletter. One of the concerns that was brought up in the previous meeting was that implementing such a program could result in increased cost, because now you're bringing in administrative cost and time for individuals to actually put this letter together. Well, I talked with a number of people, including the mayor of Central Falls, James Diosa. They have a newsletter that they submit every week. Their average total time, we're looking at about 2 to 3 hours of actual man time involved in this process. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, they also have a newsletter. It takes them about 2 to 3 hours to put this newsletter together. Not to mention, we're saving a significant amount of money replacing our current paper newsletter, which we included in the water bills. So these two are very simple. They're very elegant, in my opinion, ideas, and more importantly, they have an established precedent, and they can do nothing but really improve the way the city communicates with the citizens, administration, and the city council. Thank you.
You making a motion? You're going to make a motion to approve your resolution.
Got it. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Madam Chair, I'll second for purposes of discussion.
There's a motion, second. Yes, Counselor.
Yeah, I just like to get some clarification. I know Councilor Flores is coming up with some, good ideas here with the, with Engage. I'm sorry, what was it you called it?
Citizen engagement.
Citizen Engagement Forum. There were a couple of things, and I believe that there's a little bit of overlap, and maybe I would be best to clarify as the liaison to the editorial board for Engage Newport. We do have an Engage Newport newsletter that is in printed form that we put out quarterly. Did meet with the editorial board. We are ready to go monthly with this printed letter format as of December, so we could go December, January, February, and on from there. There will be a slight additional cost because you do have to print on both sides. This was submitted 2 weeks ago at a other regular meeting. So we are ready, and we do encourage as an editorial board to go ahead and do that. From a mailer standpoint or anything, this is also accessible online. So from an Engage Newport standpoint, anything that you get as a hard copy, you can also get there. Specifically for Engage Newport, it is intended as a two-way form of communication, not only for the city to communicate with our citizens, but also for any community organization to also post there. There actually is a section called Post Your Own. Edward King House has a portion of the last Engage Newport newsletter on the front page. The Newport Health Equity Zone also took up a nice space. Martin Luther King Center as well have also, piggybacked on this, two-way engagement process. To make a long story short, Engage Newport, even from a historical standpoint, whatever kind of projects that we're working, anything that's trending gets pushed to the front. Anything that's historical is already archived in the Engage Newport. So I'm not sure if a 12-pager like Barnstable's newsletter is appropriate to reaching the masses, or if we're, giving them a type of information overload. I can say from community feedback that the printed version has been very popular, and folks have really enjoyed this, and it has been driving message traffic to Engage Newport to the website as well. I could support taking this double-sided sheet to a once-a-month newsletter. I would highly encourage that. And then keep our www.engagenewport.com as our go-to real-time 24/7 two-way communication and feedback point for that kind of a process. I think keeping it open rather than just keeping it to a monthly, here's your news flyer and there's really nothing else to really piggyback off of, I think is a better option. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say that the World Waste Social Marketing is also working on Engage Newport 2.0. So it is going to be a refreshed look on the website. In so doing, obviously, we're going to need some time to go through the editorial processes for that and also get feedback from the council, from administration. So again, we would like to put out a November newsletter as well, but from all practical purposes, we're going to have to go from December on for that monthly. So I would encourage a monthly newsletter, but not necessarily in the format that Councilor Flores is talking about, but really instead expanding what we already have from quarterly to monthly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
How long does it take to generate this newsletter? Do you know?
We meet as an editorial board. We went through it today. If we were to try to get it in November, today is the 14th, we would have to get this really no later than like the 20th or 21st of every month.
But from a manpower standpoint, how many hours does it take to do this?
You know, only World Waste Social Marketing could actually answer that question. We as an editorial board give input, but they're the ones who have to actually put this together. And as contract labor, I mean, we're going to have to make amendments to the contract that we already signed with them as a council. So we should be fully prepared to do that as well.
I guess the issue I have here, and the problem I'm having understanding this, is that we're having a discussion where we're discussing keeping paper, like going backwards. Let's go with paper instead of let's move forward with something that is practically done in every city in Rhode Island. Every single municipality that I talk to has an online newsletter that you register for. Go to the website, you register for, and periodically, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks, you receive that into your inbox. So one of the arguments being made is that, well, this information is already in Engage Newport and anybody can go to it and it's right there. Great. Same thing can be said about our website. It's right there. There's another component to this. We're a tourist-driven community for the most part. So this isn't just Newporters who would have access to this. This is people that come to Newport and they sign up for the newsletter, and now they're getting the newsletter in their inbox and they see Newport and it becomes just part of their regular routine. But we've talked about this topic at length. I will respect the decision of my fellow councilors, and we'll move on.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I'm just wondering if Councilor Flores talked to Worldwide Marketing about this and perhaps having them create some sort of a sign-up for an email sign-up using this particular form. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is that not all people have computers. So how many would we actually have to mail out? So, in order to be fair, we have to really do two things.
Right, Madam Chair, if I could just piggyback off of that as well. We started Engage Newport a couple of years ago under the old city manager, and we found that by not doing an actual hard copy mailer, and we kept it as simple as possible, just tri-folded, printed on both sides, color, that we weren't necessarily reaching the masses in a way we should. I know, I think Carmela's in the background. Hi, Carmela. You don't have to come up, but from an Edward King House standpoint, we actually print these out and we hand these out to our senior citizens, and they actually are a big hit there, where they wouldn't necessarily go to social media or to the Engage Newport site. I can say with absolute certainty that since going with a paper notification, that we have had more message traffic. I'll use another example of trying to get information out for any kind of meetings, boards and commissions, or if there's a situation with an abutter. By going fully digital alone, we have missed a whole chunk of the city of Newport. So to do away with the hard copy at this time, I do sincerely believe that it is premature, and we are getting good bang for our buck right now in that we can piggyback off of the water bill. In an ideal situation, would it be much easier for everyone to just sign up online and say, okay, you know what, you no longer need to receive this in paper. Would you like to go completely paperless? Sure, but I think we have to keep both options because the citizens are receptive to the two options and are demanding both of those options right now. It also keeps, by doing so, it also keeps the Engage Newport newsletter down to 2 pages or just one single sheet printed on both sides. We don't have to try to put 12, 15, 20 pages worth of information that we would have on Engage Newport. You're really putting the highlights down there and you're really drawing the message traffic online. So we are saving in paper and mailing costs by doing so. But again, the hard copy paper is a system of redundancy that we cannot do away with. If we really want to go monthly, then we really have to pick up the newsletter in a monthly format. And I do firmly believe, and so does the rest of Engage Newport editorial board, that we need to keep it to one single sheet, double-sided.
I think if we're going to look at it in that manner, then perhaps we should have both options initially. And then after a year or any given timeline, then reassess it based on how many people sign up for the newsletter, based on how many people are looking at the paper copy. But I think that needs to be an option. But going back to Councilor Segley's statement about going to Worldways Marketing and talking to them about including that option, that's something I would definitely consider, and I will do.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I just have a question of Councilor Camacho. This monthly letter, similar to this, has already been discussed with Worldways Marketing. Is that right?
That is correct. Worldway Social Marketing puts these together.
So they would know that they'd have to have added person power in order to create this.
Right. As of right now, we had a meeting this morning at 9 o'clock at City Hall. We did not have an opportunity, well, actually, let me double back. We had the opportunity to discuss it. What we didn't have was we didn't have anything in the form of a resolution or even, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure if this is even needed in the form of a resolution for the city manager to execute this as a monthly format or to get the mailer out there. We've already set the conditions, we've already set the policy as a council for communication, and this is really in my opinion, a call from the city manager to really go monthly. I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on this, Joe.
Well, I don't want to get philosophical here because that's going
to open up a whole can of worms, which I'll be more than happy to discuss. Well, hold on. I'm trying to brief you on what we're doing with Worldways Social Marketing, with our efforts at getting information out to the public. You've mentioned an engagement forum, a citizens engagement forum. I would remind you, we have a citizens forum that we do 22 times a year. It's right at the beginning of our dockets on the second and fourth Wednesday of every single month, with the exception of November and December, because of the 2 holidays, and unless otherwise posted. We just had an individual, Ms. Kirshner, talk to us during the citizens forum to bring forward her ideas. You're talking about a citizens forum. We have that. You're talking about a citizens engagement forum or an engagement forum. We have that. It's Engage Newport. There's a 2-way communication. Counselor, I believe that this resolution was brought to us prematurely and that it needs further vetting.
Can I just, I'm going to weigh in here. First of all, we're not Barnstable and we're not Central Falls. I'm wondering who's going to do all this work. You talk about engagement. I have listed September 29th off-Broadway meeting with Scott Wheeler, and they were talking about Equality Park. That's citizen engagement. October 6th, ALN, a meeting with Mr. Riccio about the roads. October 8th, Lower Thames Street. Again, a meeting with the public, and a number of us, including Justin and myself, had attended. October 13th, the comp plan, last night, and a number of the councilors attended. I mean, I'm just wondering, how much more engagement and the work that it takes. We are thin now, and I understand that we're thin. And we have our department heads go out, all of them, on various missions when we want to inform the public about something. I'm looking at this city manager will implement a monthly news conference. I'm not so sure that's a hot idea. When you talk about a news conference, you want something newsworthy. Everybody knows how to get a hold of each and every one of us, and people have done that. I don't think we could be any more transparent. I'm not saying that there isn't some sort of ideas that can come from this, but I think at this time, when we have so many other people in the city working on Engage Newport, the World Ways Marketing, the department heads going out in the community. We have the Gateway tomorrow night. I just think we've got a lot on our plate, and I'm not sure that this is exactly what the city needs. I don't think it's going to bring the greater transparency.
Madam Chairman, I respect...
If you would, just, I'm going to pull rank. Actually, I'll pull Robert's rules. Everybody gets to talk once. You know, good communications doesn't happen accidentally. It needs a plan. It needs structure. It needs adult supervision. We've talked about communications in various formats recently. We will never communicate too much with the public. Any more so than those of us who are married can claim that we over-communicate with our spouse. Did you laugh, Mr. City Manager? You've mentioned some of the things. I mean, the Public Services Director brought five or six of his subordinates who gave excellent summaries of what they did. But we didn't do that. ALN caused that to happen. The event tomorrow night, we didn't schedule that. ALN has worked with RIPTA to do that. I think what's missing in all of this isn't the interest in communicating. It's not a lack of understanding of the importance of communications. It is structure. You know, Councilor Camacho is talking about World Ways and editorial boards and this and that. I wouldn't want to have to take an essay question about some of those topics because I don't know as much about them as maybe I should. I'm not complaining that the information hasn't been distributed. I'm not suggesting it hasn't, but we need more of a brain overseeing all of our communications efforts. I actually watched some of the Barnstable things, and one of the things I learned is they have 3 people that work on this. They have a TV studio in the basement of their city hall. I'm not actually sure who these 3 people work for, but I know they're not free, and I also know that they're skilled. So they didn't just walk off the street and start doing this. I mean, one of them was, I think, a TV news person before they moved to Barnstable. There's a lot of work that needs to be done here, and I don't think that John's impulses to encourage us to do more of this are bad. I think the structure that we're faced with tonight doesn't really lend us to an up and down vote so we can move forward. But I think we need to do more, and that's why, you know, people can go online probably as early as tomorrow and watch this meeting, which we couldn't do 2 years ago. I mean, 6 years ago, we didn't have a published docket. City administration is supposed to be working on making this meeting a live streaming event, which will happen, I think, perhaps not before we move back to City Hall, but it's going to happen. This is making ourselves more transparent. But we should never declare victory that we've done all we need to do. I think we should always be looking for opportunities to improve our communications, and I applaud John for, you know, basically poking us with a stick and saying, you got to do better than what you're doing, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I would encourage John to, you know, talk to all of us and maybe, you know, come back with some discrete steps that aren't necessarily embodied here, but that we could take, because I don't necessarily agree we need a news conference. I'm not sure how we would do the citizen engagement forum, But after watching Bill Riccio's people do their show last week,
Yeah.
I can't say that that's a bad thing. And maybe what we need to do is have more structure so that we do that on a regular basis. And we don't have to have a community group take the role in causing it to happen, but we ourselves cause it to happen. We can still work with them to affect it, but in any event, I won't vote for the resolution because I think it needs a lot more work, but I don't really want to vote against it. I'd rather have John, continue it for a little while or do whatever you want to do. But I do not object to the impulse that's contained in your resolution. I just don't think the specifics are stated as clearly as they should be.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Counselor.
I know that the public needs to have transparency, and we want transparency. But just to go through, and I know that ALN has picked up a particular role in creating public forums, which is very appreciated. But just on the city side and all of the forums that I have been to in the past month, there's a school committee liaison meeting. There's the Edward King House liaison. The public meetings having to do with flooding and drainage, city manager search, PRISM, Parks and Open Space, Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Soon we'll be doing the Gateway. I'm at meetings after meetings, and I talk to people whenever I'm at those meetings, and people email me and they call me. I feel that as a second ward councilor, I am engaged. And last night, I not only came to the Comprehensive Land Use Plan meeting, but I had another meeting having to do with the Salve shuttle issues on Annandale. So, perhaps the communications manager who we have, fitted that into the budget would help us have an overarching method of doing this and communicating with the public. But in all honesty, I believe that we as a council, I think we are engaged.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I'd just like to add, too, that, when we're talking about the Citizens Forum, like we had today, like we're going to have on the 28th, like we're going to have again on November 18th, and then again once in December. That's us saying, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public, come to us so we can hear. Well, when we engage with ALN, that's an outreach for not just neighborhood organizations that, with issues that are dealing specific to that neighborhood, like Councilman Segley and I, when we went to the Off-Broadway Neighborhood Association, and Mr. Scott Wheeler was there, and we proactively discussed the options of what to do with the Quality Park. And the leadership of that neighborhood wrote an email back to city manager and all of us saying, thank you, what professionalism. That's us going out to you. That's us getting off this dais, getting off of those chairs and saying, your voice as neighborhoods matter. Your voice as ALN as an umbrella organization matters. We're here as servants. We're not here as overlords. And I think that even though Councilor Flores has the best of intentions with creating a citizens engagement forum, it's a third redundancy where we're saying, you come to us again so we can tell you what to think. We want to know what you think. We want to know what our citizens and these strong neighborhood and community organizations have and for us. We want to go to you. We want to engage that way. And you know what? So does our staff. We're doing that. We have an open door policy. If you're uncomfortable with, talking on camera, to us on the dais, please feel free to give us a call. The Daily News prints our emails and telephone numbers all the time. We have our emails, home addresses, telephone numbers, everything, little bios printed on us right on the city website. Please feel free to call all of us, any one of us. City manager obviously keeps an open door policy as well. We want to stay engaged as much as possible, and that's real time, 24/7, social media, face-to-face, but from an engaged rules where you get all of us together. I don't believe that adding that tertiary citizens engagement forum to an already twice per month engagement citizens forum that we already have is necessarily the best and highest use of two-way communication. Thank you.
Yeah, are we ready to vote? Okay.
Unless Councilor Flores wanted to continue the resolution indefinitely, or I don't know if...
No, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think there's a lot of support, and I respect that.
Would you like,
Madam Chair, we have a public
would you
comment.
like to withdraw?
Okay, I am still Stephanie Schmidt at 15 Marsh Street. Okay, I'm sorry. Is this good? Can people hear? All right, just for a second here, I know we're all trying to be business people. Let's everybody put on your bottom line business hat and ask the bottom line question. When it comes to the print publication, if you will, not the Citizens Forum dialogue, what is it that you want to accomplish, you? And what is it that we want them to accomplish? That's what we need to answer, and whether that's email or mail, and now I'm just speaking about that part of Mr. Flores' resolution, is you ask your constituency, which channel suits you best? We can't do it all Marco's way, by mail, because that isn't good for some of your
Well,
constituents.
it exists mail and online already.
Okay.
To clarify, this
And
is online.
People, the best, in this day and age, good marketers, let's all be that, ask their customer, how would you like it? So let us tell you how we would like it. I would like mine via email, but if I am someone for whom the computer is foreign, email is foreign, I don't like that, whatever that is, and that's a chunk of our constituency. I can't quantify it. Some demographics person for the city could. But those people may want it by snail mail, and so they should have it that way. And whether it's one page or more than that, I want to know a whole lot more about my city, Marco, than just two sides of a sheet of paper, I got to tell you. But I don't want you to put it in the mail and spend a fortune getting it to everybody that way when some of us want it via email, because that's a cost savings, and we, the people, ask you to save money. We ask you to save us money, Marco. We want you to do that. So let's think out of the box of it has to be this or that, and think customer focused. That's what the business world preaches. That's what we want to preach. I think it's what we, the people, want to preach to you, and I hope it's what you want to give us as our public servants.
Madam Chair.
That just makes sense to me. Customer focused, please.
I believe Ms.
We're the
Schmidt
customer.
really hit the nail on the head, though. You know, I mean, this is where this process needs to be fleshed out. You know, are we going to have people sign up to have it mailed to them? We're going to have people sign up for emails. These are the questions that we need to answer and that staff needs to help us with, and World Ways Marketing needs to help us with. So, I mean, you know, this is where I feel that this is premature as well. We really don't have enough information to support something like this yet.
Okay, out of respect for the opinion of my fellow councilors, I'm going to withdraw the resolution.
Action number 5436.
Okay, Madam Chair, Tennis Hall of Fame tax stabilization request under the provisions of ordinances, or Ordinance 4-08110. There is a request for relief of 100% of any increase in taxes over $3,320,700 to the reduced value of the property as of December 31st, 2014. Until the project is completed, followed by a 20% decline in each of the 5 years thereafter. The value of the abatement ranges from approximately $263,000 to $365,000, depending on which value is used at the starting point. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor.
could I ask that the resolve of the resolution be read? Because the verbiage in the
yes.
resolution is somewhat different than the
Thank
verbiage
you.
in the blue paper.
Madam Chair, the resolved is the City Council of Newport approves the tax stabilization request of the Tennis Hall of Fame for any assessed value that exceeds $4,500,000 as a result of the improvements to land and property on parcels R05684, R05591, and R06303. The pro rata exemption is 80% exempt for the first year of new assessment, 60% exempt for the second year of new assessment, 40% exempt for the third year of new assessment, 20% exempt for the fourth year of new assessment. Year 5 and later will be taxed at full assessment value for that given year.
Madam Chair, I just have one question for the manager, and that is, what is the first year in which this has an impact, or
Mr. Galvin, please. Yeah.
That's fine.
You'll have to, yeah.
In the resolve, it talks about what we're going to be doing, but I'm not sure, what's the first year? In other words, in the first year, they're going to be 80% exempt. What is that year?
My understanding is that first year will be the year of completion of the full project. And I believe we determined that by the certificate of occupancy for...
You'll have to talk into the mic.
I'm sorry. The first year that goes into effect will be the year the project is completed, as determined by the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the full building.
And that has not yet been issued, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. So you've answered the question because it will be the year in which the certificate of occupancy is granted. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so then I believe the first year will be the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So, has there been a motion?
Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve accompanying resolution.
And I second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address this issue? Okay, hearing none, are we ready to vote?
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I knew it was too fast, guys.
I'm sorry to unring the bell. My name is David Tracy. I'm an attorney with the Providence firm of Hinckley Allen. I'm representing the Tennis Hall of Fame this evening. Excuse me for my voice. I'm likewise recovering from a cold. I just wanted to address the $3.3 million versus $4.5 million question in terms of the starting assessed value. The reason why it was originally proposed at the $3,320,000 number was because that was the assessed value as of December 31, 2014. If you go back to December 31, 2013, that's where the $4.5 million number had come in, which was subsequently reduced to $4 million. So frankly, in terms of, in the spirit of compromise, I'm prepared to propose if we could kind of split the difference and just make it a round number of $4 million, that would be satisfactory to my client.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes, Madam Chair.
We always hate changes on the floor, particularly something in layman's terms. Can you please just explain?
Well, certainly the request from the Hall of Fame was to base the tax stabilization on a value of the $3 million, slightly over $3 million.
Which was the 14 assessment.
Which was the 14 assessment. My understanding is when...
Speak into the mic.
I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead.
My understanding is that when the finance director looked at that and looked at that number, that was based on a property that had been devalued by deconstructing the property as part of this project, and that before they started the project, it was valued at 4.5.
Okay.
And so her recommendation to the council was that the tax relief should use the value of the property before they began the project, as opposed to a value midway through when they had taken some of the buildings down and it was worth less. So that was her recommendation to you, and that's what the form of the resolution took. So, Madam Chair, I think as a point of clarification for anyone listening at home, we have a resolved in the City Council resolution of $4.5 million.
Yeah.
But we do have on the cover letter for the action item, the 2014 assessment of $3,320,700. I believe, sir, the Hall of Fame is asking to split the difference and make it an even $4 million.
Well, we were splitting the difference, frankly, in your favor. It's not quite splitting the difference.
Right.
The ordinance actually, we think it actually speaks to going back to 2014. So we look at, it says the prior year's assessment will be used for the purpose of determining increased valuation. So again, we're willing to just compromise so that we can come up with something that everyone is happy with.
I believe someone else is. Your name, please?
Todd Martin, CEO of the International Tennis Hall of Fame. I'd just like to make one clarification with respect to the $4 million assessment. It is actually an assessment that was rendered by the Tax Board of Review. So the 12/31/13 assessment was actually revised by the Board of Review.
Okay.
So that's, rather than looking at it as a compromise, I'd prefer that we look at it as that was the final assessment
Okay.
for that tax year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend council resolution under resolved, where it says assessed value that exceeds $4,500,000. I would make a motion to amend to $4 million evenly.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve resolution as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve it as amended. All in favor?
Madam Chair.
Oh, wait a minute, sorry.
I would just
Go
like to,
ahead.
you know, we're running through this, but this is a feature of our ordinances that allows us to encourage economic development in the city. And I think it's a grand thing that we're doing this tonight, because we're not taking taxes away from something that was being taxed before. We're just adjusting the rate at which the taxation will be applied. The Tennis Hall of Fame, the International Tennis Hall of Fame, pays taxes on all of their property. I think it's important for the voters to understand that. And as we move forward in time and people want to make improvements down on Thames Street and throughout the city, this is a tool we can use to encourage people to come and make investments. So in some ways, I'm happy that this is the first time in 9 years that I can recall that we've used this. I think it's something we should use more often to encourage development in the city like this. So,
Madam Chair?
And I would note that Tennis Hall of Fame is a nonprofit that has always paid taxes.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to make a note that, by changing it from $4,500,000 to $4 million, you've actually given a benefit to the citizens of Newport, and that shows tremendous character on the part of all of you folks over there at the Tennis Hall of Fame, so I'd like to thank you for that.
Okay. All right, now are we ready?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Action number 5451.
Madam Chair, Finance Department recommends the council approve an award of contract to custom computer specialists for a term of 3 years beginning October 1st, 2015, for an amount not to exceed $1,224,521. There are 2 changes to the new contract that will further help the city to move forward in the communications and technology infrastructure areas. These include adding phone and voice over IP support to the contract, and as well as increasing senior engineer support for 2 days per week. All other aspects of the contract remain the same, including 2 in-site full-time technicians and 24/7 remote support. Under fiscal impact, it is currently budgeted for year 1, and it does require the additional appropriation for years 2 and 3, as noted in the council resolution. Therefore, I move approval of accompanying resolution, Madam Chair.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor?
I have 2 questions. Perhaps the finance director could entertain them, but this is a continuation of support we're already getting. Was there an increase in cost per year? And if so, what was it? Or, in rough round terms, 1%, 10%, 0%?
No, I believe the increase was somewhere between 3 and 5%.
3 and 5?
Yeah.
My only other question is, in support of the new phone system, if we pass this, are we going to get the new phone system working?
The new phone system is completely ready to go. The problem that we ran into is voice recording system in the fire department that needed to be changed. It was not going to work with the new phone system, but it also is kind of falling apart anyway. It's not really working the way that it's supposed to be working. And that's an issue that came up, and we're waiting on vendors related to that system before we can put the new one, actually just turn it on.
I just wanted to give a shout out that there's a problem there, and hopefully we're going to get it fixed soon.
And I'm tired of 2 telephones on my desk.
They look cute. They really look good.
Try using them.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5452.
Okay, Madam Chair, David Roderick of the Newport Substance Abuse Prevention Task Force, who is acting chair and treasurer, recommends to the City Council that we authorize the mayor to sign the Rhode Island Department of Behavioral Health Care, Developmental Disabilities, and Hospitals Grant Contract Amendment in the amount of $20,859 for the period of October 1st, 2015 through June 30th of 2016. Effectively, this increases the grant award amounts in the grant fund. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5453.
Madam Chair, the Newport Substance Abuse Prevention Task Force is recommending that the contract with Coordinator Benjamin G. Elcombe for the period of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016 be approved as follows. Contract for administration of the annual RISAPA grant in an amount not to exceed $16,240 and grant funding in the amount of $20,859. There is no fiscal impact. Funding shall be from various state, federal substance abuse prevention grants. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5454.
Madam Chair, Director of Civic Investment recommends approval of the City Administration's recommendation for the city to develop a strategic partnership with Parallel Processing Incorporated for the development of a citywide parking repository and real-time parking data system. There is no fiscal impact, Madam Chair. The group has prepared a brief presentation for members of the public, so I guess at this time I would move approval of accompanying resolution and ask for a second for purposes of discussion so we can move into the presentation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and I guess at this time, because of the presentation, and I would hope that it's no more than 8 to 10 minutes, and I realize I'm cutting you guys in half now, but this has been, for us, a long meeting. Okay.
So Madam Chair and council members, I'm Jason Turner, CEO of Parallel Processing. So we're a technology company that focuses on a data repository that digitizes all of the parking information for municipalities. So our systems are real-time, and as many of you know, Newport, the parking here is very confusing, and there's a lot of issues with rules and street signs, and a lot of things are confusing to see, and I'm sure on an enforcement side, there's complaints when signs aren't present or if they're blocked. Sorry, this is going automatically. So signs are confusing. This is part of the problem we're solving. The other is that 50% or more of parking rules aren't clearly posted on the street, or they're not accurate.
And the other thing is it's hard to find on websites. You have to go to other sites to see what they are. So I apologize. I don't know why this is moving forward. So I'm going to make this brief and go through these slides really quick. So here's our solution. We basically create a centralized real-time parking repository. So if many of you have went to Broadway during construction, had to detour, and if you're using a mapping system or a GPS, or think tourists coming to town, there was no way for anyone to know in real time what's happening. So we're creating a system that allows the city to maintain the rules. We reconcile what's actually on the street with what the ordinances are within the city. And then we're allowing permitting, construction, parking bans when they go into effect. All of this is scheduled and maintained by the city. And then it flows through our repository and out to mapping companies, to the website, everything in real time. So we're giving the public real-time information of what's happening on the streets of Newport. And the key here is we're merging data. And this is a big step. So the city has ordinances on the books, and then they have signs on the streets. And a lot of the time, the two don't match up. We're actually taking the two. We're taking and importing the data that the city has, meter data, pricing, regulations, times, and merging that with what is actually on the streets. We have a data collection system that takes pictures of signs on the streets, and then we reconcile it against ordinances. So if you see what we're tracking, you see parking meters, garages, lots, street signs, hydrants. We will actually geotag all of these city assets and street assets. So for instance, when there's a big snowstorm, we know exactly where the hydrants are, and they can be cleared. The other thing we're doing is providing a multi-department level portal for the city. This is really great. If complaints come in, what we're doing is allowing communication to flow. So if someone's going to complain about a parking ticket, they know where to go if the sign is down, if that's an issue, for example. The future side of this is we're also time stamping. So as things become more mobile and they're using your phone, we'll have timestamps of location when someone leaves their spot, when they get in their spot. So, you know, it flows through the whole entire system and gives the city great visibility into what's happening on the streets. Here's how our data is visualized. This is pretty cool. So it'll come up in apps like Waze or different mapping programs and everything else, and you'll actually see where the permits are, where commercial parking is, where parking bans are, where streets are being blocked for events, for instance, that was talked about earlier with races. So with this system, we can actually feed to these mapping programs in real time and divert traffic. Also, for the public, you get timely information, you get pricing information. There's different trends with the public market in terms of meters and on-demand parking. So you get accurate information that's coming directly from the city through these applications, and you know exactly what is happening. So when permits happen at 6 o'clock and you have to move, we will provide that data to applications that can then notify the public when they're parked in spots. So here's exactly what we do. We're providing a progression of portal data for the city, street sign conditions. That's another byproduct of the ancillary data that we offer to the city. We geotag accurately assets that are on the street. We've been working with GIS systems and GIS department within the city, so we know what is on the street, and we're reconciling that. And we're providing notifications that go within multi-departments. So we're going to work with you on notifying different departments when, say, street signs need to be replaced and that kind of data. So the data that we're outputting is pretty interesting. It's going to go to navigation systems. So it go right to your car. It can go to your phone. So if you think of Google Maps, Bing, here, different mapping systems. And we'll provide a widget to the city website. So if you go to the website, you'll actually see all the parking rules by street and by block. Future markets, real-time traffic control, real-time traffic views. We will have historical trends. We can have predictive algorithms that are really looking at traffic. The other thing, if you look at autonomous vehicles and autopilot cars, such as Tesla and these other cars, this data will flow to those cars in real time and will really help manage traffic. Additionally, we will help automate enforcement, which is a really big thing. So the city benefits accurate data. It goes right to the public. It's maintained by the city. The data is owned by the city, and we provide it to the city. All the data is collected and given back to your GIS system in a format that's compatible with existing systems. We assist in sign management. We geotag all the city assets so that you can keep track of things. We provide real-time information to mapping companies and other applications. And we timestamp parking activities, which is really important. So the public benefits, again, everything I keep saying is real-time here. So we give real-time analysis and data to the city. We're providing parking apps and other technologies. And in short, we're bringing both sides closer together, both public and municipalities together, to kind of deal with all the traffic issues. So if you think of the time that's spent when someone contests a ticket, we can provide that data right away. We have 2 patents that cover our technology that have been granted on the data collection. We're based in Boston. We have a great team. Our COO is here. And we have 1 patent pending. And our focus is really on data collection, merging this technology together. And we're a big data processing company at the end of the day. So here's our team. I have over 20 years experience in the media technology industry. I grew up in Rhode Island. I live in Newport. I moved back. And Eric Ruft, our COO, has been in parking. He put over 15,000 sensors in the streets of San Francisco to try and create an on-demand parking system. And Eric Sonderben is the founder of the company and visionary. He's been at this a long time, over 8 years. And our team, we're constantly developing new technologies that help the GIS system and the parking problem as a whole. That was it.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. Does anyone on the council have questions?
Well,
Mr. McLaughlin, not 10 of them either. You're allowed to ask
I'm going to ask one question, but it's 10 parts. Actually, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
And one of them is, this is such a good deal. Why is it free? Obviously, what's in it for you? And secondly, somewhere in here I read about using us as a place to test the use of autonomous vehicles. So I'd be interested in you talking about, obviously you're going to get something out of this, but it isn't free forever.
Right.
And talk about the autonomous vehicles. So that's a 2-part question.
That's great.
I got the other 8 parts waiting in the wings.
That's okay. Our business model is to give municipalities the tools. You have data that we can use. We have data that you can use. The maintenance of the data is key for us. The way we're going to monetize the data is take that and then license that to other applications like Google Maps or a mobile parking company that wants to. If you see trends in parking, everyone has smartphones, or majority of people have smartphones, and they want to be able to pay and not put money in the meters. This system creates a centralized exchange for that, so you can bring on multiple vendors. And if you see what's happening in the industry, cities are picking one vendor. And when you have people coming, especially here, coming from Boston and coming from New York, they already have parking apps. So this repository enables people that visit Newport, allows us to license that to them and maintain the data without making significant investment. So upfront, the tools are free for the city, and in exchange, we actually flow the data back that we collect to the city. So it's an ongoing data repository. So at the end of the day, we're charging people that are monetizing it as a license fee.
Thanks. That sounds like a great symbiosis. But then if you could talk about the autonomous vehicle component to it.
So on the autonomous side, it's very early stage, it's very advanced, and as we look at Newport and talk to different members of the community, Newport wants more tech, wants more innovation, and wants things to happen here. So doing a pilot for an autonomous vehicle using this parking data and even autopilot cars, it doesn't have to be fully autonomous, and you see in the news, Tesla's saying they're going to have autopilot cars in the next year. Newport could be a great test city. And if you see Mountain View and Austin, Texas as the test cities today, the primary test cities, they're mild climates. Newport has smaller streets, fog, snow, and it could be great, I think, press for this city to show true innovation and also push the public safety factor of autonomous. Volvo's CEO just came out last week and said that they're willing to take on the liability of any crashes for a Volvo if laws were changed to allow autonomous cars on the streets. So we think that's something that's worth more discussion and something that this technology is ready to demonstrate, and we believe we could do that here in Newport.
What's the time frame of your investment in this project in Newport? A 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? What do you see your...
The parking repository we can have live in November, next month. So, and it's ongoing. So, and on the autonomous side, we can go out to key, if there's demand for that or an appetite for that here, we can go to key strategic partners and put a test case or proof of concept together on a small level for here. I mean, one of the examples that we pushed was, if you go to Sundance Film Festival in Utah in Park City, you have this ski town and you have Volkswagen driving VIPs around. It would be really cool to have shuttles taking people from town out to one of the music or folk, like jazz or folk festival. And that's great press, and it would show innovation. And we could ramp that up very quickly for the city.
And being autonomous, they might be a lot more polite than...
That's right.
You know, one of the aspects of this that's really exciting is that, you know, we have people telling us, well, we drove down that street because Google told us to. You know, and you know, Councilor Segal, you know, the Annandale or Farewell streets in your ward, you know, people won't be able to say, gee, Google told me to go down that street, because you're going to be providing real-time feed to these people to make them aware that this is not a bus road.
Yes, exactly.
That's a big plus to the city.
That's great.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Yes. Can you come to the mic, please?
This is really very exciting to hear Barry Freeman from Friendship Street, also by Newport. My question has to do with a theme that keeps recurring about traffic flow and parking management, such related to all of our special events. And when we do have special events, we very often put out recommended routes for different modes of transport. So whether it's bikes or buses or shuttles or cars, we're asking different people in different modes of transport to take different routes. That often involves signage and all different kinds of communication tools to get the word out. I have a feeling that this system might be very helpful when it comes to routing people for our numerous special events, to maybe reduce the number of signs and make it, you know, a much easier method to communicate. When we do have our special events, the police department and all the different managers of different modes of transport work together and then have to get this word out about where we're sending people. So my question is, am I understanding this, that there will be ways to communicate with regarding different recommended routes?
That's a great question. Over time, one of the things we've been looking at is providing enough data to help with traffic. So we've already been meeting with the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission and looking at other ways and places to drive people to alleviate heavily congested areas. So that's something that's on our roadmap, something that the system will help manage. And when there is other applications that are out there, or Google will give you traffic, for instance. The system being real time, we eventually will be able to do alternate routes. So again, if the city decides or the police department decides, here's a closure, there's too much traffic, that if they close the street, that data will go immediately into the system and flow to the maps and redirect traffic.
And do real-time systems allow you also to plan ahead?
So that's great. In the presentation, we had the municipal portal, and on it had permits, events, that sort of thing. So you can actually schedule ahead of time and actually plan. So when someone puts cones up on the streets, no one knows about it, that will actually be marked on a map and flow through digitally. So we will digitize all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, ready to vote? Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? We ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5455.
Madam Chair, Water Pollution Control Division staff recommends the award of a construction contract for the Goat Island Force Main rehabilitation to John Rocchio Corporation of Smithfield, Rhode Island, for an amount not to exceed $410,000. An allowance of $88,000 for police details is included. However, this amount will be paid directly by the city. The total recommended expenditure for this project is $498,000. The funding for this project will be provided from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund for capital improvements. It is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second?
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5456.
Madam Chair, Department of Utilities Water Pollution Control Division staff recommends, in accordance with Section 10 supplemental agreements of contract number 14-037, engineering services for design of the Goat Island Force Main rehabilitation, with James J. Jeremiah and Associates Incorporated, the award of amendment number 1 for engineering services during construction for the not-to-exceed fee of $109,700. It is also recommended that the term of the agreement be extended to July 31st of 2016. Funding for this project will be provided from the Water Pollution Control Capital Improvement Program. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second?
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5457.
Madam Chair, Water Division recommends the award of the Water Division Trench and Sidewalk Restoration Contract to Rycon Construction of Cranston, Rhode Island, based on unit price bids submitted on September 30th, 2015. Total combined expenditure is $198,170, including $34,100 in police details. It is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second?
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5458.
Madam Chair, Water Pollution Control Division staff recommends the award of the construction contract for the base bid for the Wellington Avenue CSO Treatment Facility Upgrades Project, contract number 16-002, to Hart Engineering Corporation of Cumberland, Rhode Island, for the not-to-exceed fee of $4,744,800. An allowance of $35,200 for police details was included in the bid documents. However, this amount will be paid directly by the city. The total recommended expenditure for this project is $4,780,000. The project shall be funded by the $5 million borrowed from the Rhode Island Clean Water State Revolving Loan Program. It is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second?
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5459.
Madam Chair, it is recommended that the consent decree modification to the consent decree entered into the U.S. District Court on October 18th of 2011, reference civil action number 08-265S, be approved. The city negotiated the terms of the modification with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor?
if I could direct to the city manager, what was the termination date of the consent agreement before this mod?
The
Or
termination,
maybe Julia would like to.
yeah, come on up, Julia, but the termination date, you mean where we had to complete the
Right.
system master plan? I believe it was June of 18,
So we've
the
moved it
original one. So we've moved it up.
to 2033.
That's correct, yeah.
Much more rational. So in fact, there could be a lot of changes in milestones spread throughout that 15-year period?
The answer to that, well, you can answer, Julia, if you want, but the answer is, yes, if you remember when we originally did this, and I know it was a long while ago, there was a lot.
Could you speak into the mic?
There was a lot that was crunched into a short period of time, but everything was contingent upon the development of the system master plan and really the acceptance of the findings in the system master plan and the plan to move forward in the system master plan. And so it's interesting looking at our docket in which all the items beforehand all had to do with, improvements to our system, which are, I think would have happened anyways, but are really somewhat of a byproduct of the original consent decree, but recognize with this new amendment that we've been working on for some time, that we're going to have a lot more time to get to the end goal with the system master plan, or the goals of the system master plan, to achieve those goals.
And the point that I was leading toward is this gives us greater flexibility in scheduling those and
Absolutely.
and
yeah.
also it reduces,
Yeah.
the impact of some of the costs to the taxpayers.
Right, if
can
we ever
distribute-
stayed with the original date, we'd have a little bit of a problem, yeah.
So this is really good news, you know?
Yes, yeah, well, absolutely. It's a lot of work for a number of years, and this is somewhat, I'm not going to say the culmination of it, but it's one of the apex of the work, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn as council and convene as Board of License Commissioners.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second.
There's a motion second to approve the consent calendar in its entirety. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing, application of 108 Laces, Inc., DBA Mudville Pub, to transfer 50% of stock.
Second.
Okay, this is a hearing. Is there anybody here from Mudville to address the issue?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing, application of HB Holdings LLC, DBA Mission, to transfer its Class BL liquor license to Mission LLC.
Okay, this is, again, is a public hearing on the transfer of its liquor license to Mission. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address this? Okay.
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and approve subject to payment of all bills of indebtedness.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing, application of 62 Bridge Street LLC, DBA Rumline, to transfer its Class BV liquor license to Rumline LLC.
This also is a hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to address the issue of the transfer of the BV liquor license of Rumline to the LLC, Silverstein and Kilroy?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve subject to payments of all bills of indebtedness.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.